all I see is women and girls walking with pots on their head. And I found it, it was very ironic, and it was a big irony that there's so much water, and why there seems to be so much water scarcity. I mean, in one place, how do you have both? Water scarcity and water surplus cannot coexist, but it did coexisted in that particular location. This is about 150 kilometers off Mumbai. And those scenes that I saw were very disturbing, and I went back again after a couple of days to actually deep dive into the problem, that why were these women walking. And then when I was having a conversation, they told me that even their grandmothers were walking, or maybe their great grandmothers were also walking. They were like, they kind of dismissed. They said, this is our life, we have to walk, because my mother walked, my grandmother walked. And one of the women said that, I think even my daughter, I'm making her walk with me because I think she will also have to walk for water. And this was very disturbing, because I realized this was a centuries old problem, unsolved. And then on the other side, I could see some development. Government had done some interventions. There were a lot of other organizations who were doing things. Yet why this problem was still existing, I mean, it was very disturbing. And of course, being a doctorate, being a faculty with a business school, being a researcher at heart, we decided to deep dive and do a research on this. And then a couple of things, of course, emerged. One is, of course, the basic hydrogeology of the area. Water just slips away because it's all compact basalt rock, nothing percolates. The second problem was very supply side approach, where the focus was on building these rainwater harvesting structures and not regulating the demand. And what used to happen was that once water was available, and there was a massive abuse of water. And within a couple of years, the community would again slip into the same situation where they started from. So it was very important that the demand is regulated and there was a focus and grip on demand. So that was the second problem we saw. And the third problem, of course, that we realized was that, see, water has multiple uses, and you cannot have one structure providing one water structure really, satisfying all the uses. Like, for example, human drinking is one need. Cattle drinking is a big need. Sanitation and hygiene is third big need, and agriculture is the fourth need. We cannot have one water structure satiating all the needs. So you need to have different structures and map structures with water need, and then create a demand and do a lot of demand side analysis, that how will this water demand across these four needs look, for next 10 years. So we started doing that, take a 10-year approach, do a lot of demand side mathematics. It's a huge mathematics, like calculating a lot of maths, and then go figure out what are the existing supply sources which are available. Can we augment them to really meet that 10-year demand? Do we need to build more structures? So there's a lot of research and a lot of work goes into before we really start. So with all this research, Raah Foundation again has had a very interesting journey. We started as a philanthropic organization funding solutions, because once we saw this problem, once our research was on the table, we realized that it was important to find a solution which was not only sustainable but which was also replicable and scalable. So
Correct.
we decided to fund solutions. So we identified some organizations, we funded solutions. The organizations came out with some possible solution. We piloted those solutions, and then we replicated those solutions to test the replicability of those solutions. Similarly, there was another problem statement that we saw was small and marginal farmers. Of course, absence of water, year-round water availability was creating a lot of challenges for these small and marginal farmers. But there were multiple other natural challenges that the farmers which were proving to be a roadblock for these small and marginal farmers. One of them was, of course, mountainous area. So the flat land was limited. You had undulating land, very limited flat land. Soil depth was low because of years of soil erosion. Whatever soil was available was rocky. So what kind of crops can really grow in these kind of, when you have so many challenges? And the other problem that we saw was these indigenous community. Traditionally, they were forest produce gatherers. But massive human anthropogenic activity over the years had actually reduced the forest to hardly anything. So forest produce was almost absent. So these people, so when I asked them, and this was very sad actually, I asked them that, what kind of agriculture do you do? And they said that we grow rice and ragi for self-consumption, no income from kharif crop. And then we start migrating to urban locations to work as a
Correct.
casual labor. And then
Correct.
I would ask them that even if water was available, what kind of crops would you grow? They said, we don't know agriculture. And I was like, you don't know agriculture, but you are farmers. Farmers are supposed to know farming. How come
Correct.
you don't know farming? And because water was never available. So, and farming is a skill that goes from father to son. So, what I mentioned in case of women, that grandmothers were also walking, same problem. Grandfathers were also migrating to urban areas to work as a casual labor. And so there was no farming knowledge which was passed on through generations. And
Wow.
I felt so sad that we
Wow.
have lost out some valuable wisdom, agriculture wisdom, which
Mhm.
probably would have been passed down through generations. The indigenous wisdom about
Yes.
agriculture has been all lost, completely lost. So we had to
Hmm.
reinvent the wheel, completely reinvent the wheel, and we realized that there is no one size fits all. Depending on land parcel, depending on water availability, depending on soil depth, depending on the farmer's ability to really do, ability and interest to do year-round farming, we have to find solutions. So we have like a portfolio of solutions. So that was another solution we funded, as a philanthropic organization. And the
Hmm.
third challenge that we saw was, now water was available in the villages, women were saving time, but what kind of opportunities can you really create for women who have never been to school? There are no other, other than no other opportunities available. So what do you do? They have to earn income, but what kind of income and from which sources and how do they earn income? So that was a third solution we funded. So by 2008-9, we had all the three solutions, which were, as I mentioned, sustainable. When I say sustainable, we built an exit option that after we exit, what happens to them? So we had to build a very sustainable solution. So in case of water, for example, we create this village level gender neutral water management committees, which are then taught to leverage government funds for upkeep, for maintenance, or sometimes some villages, they also build a corpus which is then used to really, for upkeep, maintenance, etc. Water management committee is a very powerful body which takes very critical decision about using community water, by people, and also it ensures equitable water usage across all people, whether you are a 1 acre owner or whether you are a 5 acre landowner. Similarly, we have solutions for farmers, similarly solutions for women. And then by 2008-9, we realized that we now needed to scale up these solutions because there are immense problems, and there are lots of communities who want these solutions. So scaling up these solutions were required. And for that, it was important that we ourselves implement these solutions and become a grassroots level organization. So till then, the funding only came from our family, our family office. And then we started raising funds in 2008-9. And of course, we continue as a family, we continue to be donors to Raah Foundation. About 15% of the money comes from our family, and the rest is all raised from either CSRs or institutional donors. We also have a American and US entity, 501c, and a lot of money is raised in US as well. So
Mhm.
that's how we are. And since 2008-9, we have been more than doubling every year, growing very fast, scaling up our solutions across communities. And we also have a very focused approach to growth, as in we don't do one thing here and one thing there. Everything, all our solutions are implemented in one area, and we also grow through adjacencies. As in, we started with Palghar, then the next district is Nasik. So while we are going wider in Nasik, we continue to go deeper and wider in Palghar, and then we move to Ahmednagar. So so it's like a northern western ghats, which are also very critical for the country. Northern western ghats are some of the most important regions for India because they kind of decide the climatic conditions of India. Some of the very important rivers originate in northern western ghats, including Godavari and Krishna. So this area is very, very important. Also, the communities living there are extremely vulnerable. I would say poorest in the world. I mean, I'm not wrong when I say that. So clearly, so this is an area which needs intervention from country perspective, from climate change perspective, from community perspective, from people's perspective. So, I'm very happy that Ra has chosen this area, and we are going deeper and wider in this area, and we have a very ambitious 2030 strategy where we want to make a huge difference to this area, and
Mm.
not only help communities adapt climate change, but importantly play a major role in mitigating climate change.
Sarika, you've shared so much of information, and there are so many questions that are buzzing in my mind. But I'm going to start with the basics. What is the first solution, or let me rephrase this, what is the most impactful solution you figured for the area with its terrain in terms of water?
Yeah. So so what we do is that we work on both surface water and groundwater table improvement, because both are equally required. So one is of course for surface water, catch every drop where it falls and when it falls. So so multiple water sources. So we have check dams, we have open wells, we have ponds, we work on streams, we work on rejuvenating springs, we work. So there are like ponds are multiple sizes ponds, small ponds, large ponds, super large ponds. So we work on all sizes. So that's like trying to catch every drop where it falls. And then, of course, improving groundwater table by building recharge structures through rooftop rainwater harvesting. So multiple solutions, across board. And there are lots of these bore wells, or, bore wells are, they're really bad because they suck up the aquifer. Aquifers are these small water bodies built over the years, which are deep into the ground. And when you actually do a bore well, it actually draws water from those aquifers and sucks it dry. Within couple of months or couple of years, bore wells are completely dry and defunct. So we are also trying to rejuvenate these bore wells. So we build a kind of a recharge structure around the bore well, and we are rejuvenating bore wells. That's another big ambitious program that we have within Raah. So so idea is that how do you create year round water availability for all your needs, and that's when
And
we call the water secure communities.
and with this intervention, has that traditional way of life in terms of farming come back to a little extent?
Absolutely, Suparna. For us, we are very big on impact measurement. We are, coming from a for-profit business. As I mentioned, SROI, social return on investment, is the key for us. So one of the long-term impacts that we actually measure is whether the community is practicing their indigenous culture more because of what we are doing. This is a cultural heritage. Indigenous communities and native people, they are very important for as a cultural, they are our cultural heritage, and
Correct.
their practices, their art, dance forms, everything, their beliefs, they are part of our cultural heritage. And what was happening was, because of water scarcity, they were all moving out of the village. And obviously, when you are migrating to work as a casual labor, women and children are left behind. I mean, you cannot expect them to really be culturally focused or practice their culture with that much vigor. But now, because the people are staying together, the communities are all staying together, families are living together, their propensity to practice their culture has improved. And that is one of the key parameters that we measure when we are talking about water. To answer your question, absolutely. I mean, they are not only leading a happy life together, but they're focusing more on children, focusing more on village development, focusing more on practicing their culture. So, I mean, all these changes I have seen, I mean, happening in the village, and it gives,
And agriculture as well. Agriculture as well. Yes.
absolutely. So, income from agriculture, income from women businesses, water availability for all needs, and better children, malnourishment. Focus on because the mothers are available to take care of children. I cannot claim any impact on malnourishment, but we can see children are growing up happily, at least happily, because we don't work on nutrition, so I cannot talk about that.
There is a phrase that you say, change without charity. Is something like that?
Yes.
What do you mean
Yes.
by
Yeah, absolutely. So we are completely against distributing anything free of cost, because we realize that you know um, this is not this is their problem, and the community's participation is extremely important if we want sustainability built into the program. And the ownership can only come when they have skin in the game. And how do you ensure skin in the game? Skin in the game can only come when either they contribute in labor when we are building our water programs, or they contribute in some cash contribution comes from them, either as an enrollment income or as a returnable grant. So for everything we do, we expect community to participate. And if the community is not willing to participate, and it's not like a major contribution we are expecting, it's like a small contribution, but we think it is very important, because I think subsidies and distributing everything free of cost has done more damage to the
I hear
communities
you,
than
and I
anything.
couldn't agree more with you because there is a sense of ownership when they're involved in its building, and that sense of ownership ensures the maintenance, ensures that this will carry forward, ensures that future generations are also involved in this.
Absolutely. And they are so excited about all the capacity building programs that we do. Otherwise, it's not mere attendance that, okay, they are doing something, let's go and see what it is. It is
Yeah.
not. It is that they come with that desire to learn because they know that they have paid for it, because they know that this is their solution, you
Mm.
know. So, the
And also,
impact is enormous.
you mentioned about the social enterprise as well. I mean, this
Yes,
is stemming
yes,
from this itself, I guess, in terms
yes.
of making micro entrepreneurs, maybe, so to speak, with women, with their art and craft, etc. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. So the whole it started because when we started working there, the Varli art actually originates in this area. These tribals, and Varli art is actually, Suparna, very fascinating. It's a form of cave art. So
Oh,
it's centuries old, and it is just going from generation to generation, passed down through generations. And initially they used to paint on their huts, make it, decorate their huts with this Varli art. And Varli art is this geometric figures, which talk about daily life of these tribal communities. So so it's about what they do in a day. So so they use these geometrical figures. So yeah. So initially, when we started working, we met a lot of these artisans, who were taught by their fathers or mothers, and women also practiced a lot of Varli art, but they could not find a market for their art form. And they didn't understand what the consumer really wanted from this art form, and they would just paint something, try and sell it in the market. And obviously, very few buyers, they didn't know where the buyers were, they didn't know what the buyers wanted. So initially, I started kind of, getting my friends who had a better design sense. I'm not a designer at all, so better design sense, to come and talk to the artisans and tell them what how they can tweak their designs, or
got it.
how they could probably paint on a cloth, and that cloth can become a tray, and then the tray will have a better market. So it
Right.
all started like that, and then I realized that they cannot come and sell. I mean, you have to help them become an intermediary where artisans make and then you sell. Because so initially it honestly started as a hobby. I would just
Mm.
call a few friends over coffee and display the products, and they would buy, and then I would go and give the income. But then more and more artisans started approaching me that, okay, please help us sell, please help us sell. And that's how it started. And then I realized that you need a proper business structure to really do this. And then Raah Creative Designs was born to actually start supporting artisans. And it has come in very handy because we have this product based livelihood for women, where women are making quilts and things like that, and RCD actually helps sell them these products. We have a very interesting program on textile waste upcycling. So Mumbai generates a lot of textile waste, fabric waste, which otherwise would have gone to landfills. So we actually
Right.
take up all these textile waste. And through
Right.
your channel, I would also like to request whoever has textile waste, don't send it to landfill, send it to us. We need a lot of these waste,
Wow.
fabric waste, because our women use this fabric waste and make mats. And then RCD team kind of designs these mats, buys them, and sells it in the market. So we have a
Super.
very different team which sits in different office, because we have designers, we have merchandisers, we have production in charge. So that's how
Wow.
it works. And then subsequently we realized that when farming, actually we have a large turmeric cohort, farmers growing turmeric. So we realized that they can get good income if we process the turmeric. And again, for processing, etc., a lot of things cannot be done under a non-profit structure. So you
Right.
need a kind of a company or a for-profit structure to do a lot of these value addition or
Correct.
market linkages. So
Correct.
that's where really the RCD comes in handy. So that's
Super.
what we
There's
do. So
so
it's
much.
like
I
end to
think
end.
you are doing both from a non-profit perspective as well as from a social enterprise perspective. I'm sure there's a lot of information that people can learn from, who are on this journey or on this path. But if there is somebody who would like to volunteer, or if there's someone as an organization or as an individual who would like to contribute whatever way they can, what are the opportunities that you provide, or
Yeah,
are there any?
absolutely. So, yeah, there are lots. I mean, I think we cannot do without people. We want people. It's such an ambitious program that we have. So, we want people to tell us that you are doing things right. We want people to come and tell us that this is not the way to do it. We want people who can connect us with, so I actually, to be, I use three words, that we need three types of people. One, and can be volunteering, of course, has to be volunteering. One is, of course, people who actually support us in kind, who can come and spend a couple of hours in the office, help us do things better. help us with marketing, help us with accounts, help us with operations, whatever, so who can give their time or who can give their money. So both. So these are like the first category of people who are supporters. The second category of people is connectors. So even if you don't have time, but somebody who can help us, either technology providers or so we are constantly looking to upgrade our technology. We are now figuring out how is AI going to affect our impact our work, and how do we really use AI or machine
In
learning.
fact, sorry, I'm cutting you in between. As far as AI is concerned, I really wanted to ask this question of you because AI is right now the model focused on everything which is written in text, which essentially means that a lot of wisdom that the natives, indigenous people that have, and especially us, we come from an oral tradition background, you know, means that it could just be lost if we are completely
Yeah,
dependent on AI. So you,
absolutely.
what do you see? Is that as a challenge? Do you think it's too nascent to comment on that?
Yeah, we are actually studying that how AI can both positively and negatively impact us. So we are actually in the I agree. It's a little nascent, I would say, Suparna. So we
Mm.
are kind of studying the impact of that. But again, as I said, connectors who can connect us with organizations who can make us more wiser about AI and about other technology tools. I'm very happy to kind of talk to them, or with other organizations who can provide support. So these are like second category of connectors. And the third category of people we are constantly engaging is amplifiers. I mean, if you, even if you don't have any, you don't know anybody who can who can you can connect us. You don't have time to give in kind, or don't have money to don't want to support in financially. Absolutely great, no problem at all. Become our amplifiers. Talk about our work in your friend circle. Talk about our work. Share our social media posts. So, I mean, there are three ways in which people can get in touch with us: become our
Super.
supporters, become our connectors, become our amplifiers. So,
Super. So, what is that connecting factor? How can people reach out to you?
they can, all the information is available on rahfoundation.org, www.rahfoundation.org. We are pretty, I think our response rate is pretty good on Instagram, Raah_Foundation, on LinkedIn, Raah Foundation. So, very, very good response rate. So, or
Super.
info@rahfoundation.org is also a great way to write to us.
Thank you so much, Sarika. This has been indeed very enlightening. There's a lot of understanding. It's not just about like, I loved how you've also very candidly shared that it's not just about non-profit. When you need to expand, there are also structures which are for profit that need to come into existence to get that value addition going. And not just
Yeah.
that in terms of getting, everybody's skin in the game so as they tend to get a sense of ownership. So from that perspective as
Yeah.
well, being an
Yeah, Suparna, I'll just
entrepreneur.
add one thing. I'll just add a small point which you just mentioned, that exploring different structures.
Hmm.
Profit is not a bad word.
Yeah,
If it is used properly, it is not a bad word. So I would
yeah,
really sincerely advise, don't
right.
shun the amazing power of business, amazing
Correct,
power of a for-profit organization.
correct.
I mean, it is up to you how you use these profits or how you channelize these profits. So I just wanted to give that message. Thank you.
Absolutely. That's what gives birth to social entrepreneurs and social enterprises. Thank you so much, Sarika, for this wonderful, candid conversation. I'm hoping to keep in touch with you, and we'll do our
Yes.
bit to amplify the work that you're doing.
Thank you so much, Suparna. Thank you so much.